Rule, and today I'll be talking to you for my final presentation about George Orr, also known as the Mad Potter. So he was born in Biloxi, Mississippi in 1857. He is the son of a German immigrant, and he apprenticed for Joseph Fortune Meyer. In 1894, a fire broke out and most of Biloxi was destroyed, including Orr's workshop. And what's really interesting is that even before this workshop, which to my understanding, this workshop that got burned down was the one that he thrived off of the most and he had the most work coming out of. But even before that, he had a lot of other workshops that he had, and he even made his own equipment. So he made his own wheel so that he was able to make ceramic work for himself. And that's how much he enjoyed making it, that he had to make his own equipment to be able to do what it was that he wanted to do. In 1918, he unfortunately died from head and neck cancer, and later on got a dedicated museum for him called George O'Keeffe Museum of Art. And he was also considered a precursor to the American abstract expressionism movement. Interestingly enough, he was not someone that a lot of people really looked at. Like, his work wasn't really something that people noticed or really wanted to look at and be awed by or wanted. He was someone that was very much misdirected in a way. Nobody really understood what it was that he was making and almost didn't really care for. So some of his processes is about him making clay and basically how he threw on the wheel. So the clay that he got was from this river in Mississippi, and it translates into broken pot. So there's a little fun fact for you all. And his concept for making his work was altering symmetrical vessels. I think this is very interesting because me going and taking ceramics 1, you're kind of taught that you should make things symmetrically, you should center things, you should make sure the walls are the same thickness all the way around. And he really wasn't for that. So when he threw on the wheel, he threw really thin. And to be able to throw extremely thin is something that you need to practice a lot. You need to have a lot of skill for this. And from me throwing and accidentally getting my walls too thin, it has flopped on me and I've gotten really frustrated. But for him to be able to do that and make beautiful work is really something. So he would alter his work with like twists, frills, indenting, lobbying, which I found out is like you cut a little piece of the clay out and then you kind of push it in to take away that negative space that you just made. He would even purposely off-center his work, which is very interesting and something that a lot of people I don't think would want to do purposefully. It would be something by mistake. But I think it's very interesting that that was the way that he was going to make his work, that he wanted to do things in a non-traditional form. He basically destroyed perfectly good things just so that he could show off what it was that he wanted to portray to everyone else. So this is some of his artwork. He made a lot of pieces of work, but these are the ones that stood out to me. So this first one over here, it shows to me that it's delicate. It reminds me of a plant, a flower, just because I can see how thin these frills are. The next one I enjoyed because of the coloring. To be able to have this transition of color is really beautiful. And then on top of that, to have this design of a twist happening, like someone physically took the clay at its like softest form and moved it around. This third vase and fourth vase, I enjoy very, very much. The colors pop out at you, and it's something that I haven't really seen a lot of in ceramics. I've seen a lot of more of the dull, um, kind of earthy tones, and these are not that. These are very vibrant and in your face, which I very much enjoy. The textures are beautiful. This green vase, the texture and design that's on it is extremely interesting and detailed. Some other stuff that I enjoyed as well was this teapot. It stood out to me mainly because of the color, not necessarily because of its shape. It was more of the color that stood out to me. And I noticed in quite a bit of his pieces, color is something that stands out in his work. These other three vases over here have to do with like handled vases. And these ones I think are very beautiful. So the second handled vase that you see, I love. I just love it because there are two handles, and usually when you make something that has two of something, you want to make it identical. But he decided, no, I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to make them different, but to also be able to be seen as, yes, this also goes with it. Like they belong to one another. And then the texture and design that's on it is quite interesting. It's almost like a splatter effect. The green vase, I really like the texture that is being shown. It makes me think that things were either dabbed or like if I felt it, I would feel that like bumpiness almost. And then the red and green vase, I love the design of that as well. Like it's almost like somebody printed something on it, is what I see, or that it was tie-dyed in a way. Like it wasn't just thrown on there, it was kind of purposefully put there so that you would be able to kind of figure out what it is that you wanted to see. So these are some of my references if anybody's interested in anything more about George Orr. But I very much enjoyed learning about him. I notice a lot of the times artists that are deceased are the ones that get famous more. And I think that's quite sad, seeing as how for him, he wasn't really recognized until way after his death. And for someone that was making work like this, I think should have been praised when he was alive. Thank you.